your MNAV should wake up. It may have to initialize subsystems, may have to do all this other stuff, but it's going to come to this. All right, this is the driver login screen. I know you guys have seen this before. Real easy to use it. Just touch the in the white field there, and the on-screen keyboard will come up. You key in your PIN number, touch done, and sign in. And it's going to request logs. So when you guys always use the same truck, and I know most of the time you do use the same truck, what it's doing is it's taking the logs from yesterday when you got done with that truck. It's checking the website to find out, has the website done any changes? Marrying those changes up if say you forgot to fill in a missing location and Michelle had to do it for you. It'll fill that in, and then you've got a complete up-to-date log. If you're logging into a truck that wasn't yesterday's truck, here's why it's important for you guys to fill in those missing locations as much as you can, instead of having the office have to do it. So if I'm in truck number 721 today, and I have a missing location, that button's red, I forget who's 721, I don't want to pick on anybody specific. If I have that red for 721, or for missing location, and then I go and I get another truck tomorrow, usually this takes a minute or less. I'm sure somebody here's thinking, oh, but on Thursday mine took 5. Okay, cell towers can get busy, the website can get busy. 2 weeks ago, we actually had a technical issue on the server side. Pretty much made everybody's stuff go really slow for a while. But normally this should be less than a minute. Okay, if this takes longer than a minute, go ahead and touch stop and cancel out and go to start again. Be aware of the fact that I've been in the cab of a truck at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to log in, and I know that 60 seconds can feel like forever. If you haven't had enough coffee yet, it's early, the sun's not up yet. Especially if, once it pulls down your log, it's going to show you logs are up to date, your name. If this isn't you, cancel out, log in, you made a mistake on your PIN number or something. The day is going to come when you'll actually put in your PIN and a password that only you will know, because you guys, some of you guys may know each other's PINs just because it's kind of hard for one number to not, and you know, everyone, that happens. So ideally it wouldn't be the case, but if it did, you know, I could accidentally log in as one of you guys. Well, I shouldn't do that. By the way, that's falsifying logs. It's not a good idea. But if you find that you logged in and it says somebody else's name, cancel out, put in your PIN again. This next line is important because that's your last status. If I'm logging in the morning when I'm just coming to work, this should be when I logged out last night. If your last status is duty last night, and that green bar is gone, it probably means I forgot to log out last night. Whoops.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Like this. It'll say game time at NA. It'll say last status was last night when I logged off duty. Life's good. I'll have 8 hours of drive time left. Why do I have 8 hours and not 11? Because I have to take a break sometime during the day. As of last July, we have that rule in effect. So one of the things to remember about this, and you guys are lucky because you've been working with the system for a little while, so this isn't new to you anymore. But one of the things guys have a little bit of an issue with when we switch from paper to electronic. Say I'm on paper logs, and I'm going to work with a couple of times. Say my usual start time is, well actually, let's say I got done at 7 p.m. last night. All right, pulled into the lot, got done at 7 o'clock, and I'm supposed to start at 5 tomorrow morning. Okay, well, 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's 10 hours off. That's good, great. If I'm on paper, 7 to 5, life's good. Now I'm on electronic logs. I actually pulled into the lot at 7 p.m. I didn't get done logging off because it took me a minute to find a spot to put my truck and I had to inspect real quick. So I didn't actually log off until 7:10. My duty day ended at 7:10 then, or at 7. I'm a go-getter. I like to come to work. All right? I come to work, yeah, I know. So I come to work in the morning and I get here at 4:45. And I go to start logging in at 10 minutes to 5. Well, and you see what's going on, yeah. So 7:10 last night to 4:50 this morning is not done preaching to that. Okay, I talked about a bunch of this stuff. Oh, the last piece is if I'm changing trucks in the middle of the day, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to tell me that I have 8 full hours. Because if I started at 5 and I swap trucks at 10 a.m., well, I worked for 5 hours, can't possibly have 11 hours of drive time. Even if I had a 30-minute break in there, 14 minus 5 is 9. That's the most drive time I could possibly have left. So you wouldn't necessarily automatically see, and then it would be 9 hours minus whatever else I work, or whatever else I drove. So you might not always see 8 hours of drive time if you're in the middle of your day and swapping trucks. Questions on any of that up till there? Okay, good. I like working with professionals. All right. We talked about all this. I babbled through that. All right, this screen here. You guys don't do team drivers as a general rule. Always, 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 always touch driver when you log in. The reason you want to do that is because when you tell this system here, driver, it means you're the guy who's going to be behind the wheel when this thing's moving. From here, what the system's going to do is it's watching to see whether the wheels are moving or not. If the wheels move, it says we're in motion. Doesn't mean we're in a drive status yet, but it means we're looking because we're probably going to start a drive status. Half a mile down the road from when our wheels started moving, it says, all right, we're not just shuttling from one side of the lot to the other. We're actually in a drive status. It's going to take you out of on duty, not driving. It's going to put you in drive status. It'll leave you in drive status until you come out of that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But half a mile down the road, you're in drive status instead of on duty, not driving. If you've told it, well, on duty probably won't even be available unless you're the co-driver, which typically you guys don't do co-drivers, so that shouldn't be an issue for you. But always select driver. Now, if I'm driving and I come to a stop somewhere, we start a timer. So you guys have it set to 5 minutes, which is a little less than half of the bar on a paper log. So it means we're always at least a little bit more accurate than the paper logs are. It might be a lot more depending on what's going on. So at 10 a.m. my wheels stop. Well, say I'm at a stoplight, or say I'm at a stop sign. My wheels stop at 10 a.m. I look both ways. I get driving again at 10 o'clock and 5 seconds. Okay, I didn't stop for 5 minutes, so it leaves me in drive status that whole time. Now, say I get to a stoplight. Pull up to that stoplight at 10 o'clock. It's kind of a long one, so it goes 3 minutes. All right. At 10:03, light turns green. I start driving again. It sees my wheels start rolling. Again, we didn't wait our 5 minutes, so it left me in drive status that whole time. I'm behind the wheel of a motor vehicle that's in operation. Technically, you're in operation if you're stopped on a road with the engine running. So it's okay to leave you in drive. It's actually, you have to leave you in drive. Last scenario, I'm driving my truck, and I get to a customer, or I get back to our yard here I'll keep using 10 a.m. Get here at 10 a.m. and my wheels stop. That timer starts. When it gets to 10:05, it says, okay, we've been stopped long enough that we're going to make that duty status change. But it makes that duty status change back when the wheels actually stop. So you'll see your change from drive to on duty, not drive. It will actually be marked as 10 o'clock is when it happened, not 10:05. So it saves as much of your drive time as it can. Now we'll talk about the lock button, and actually we can talk about the lock button now. Most of the time you guys want to have that show as unlocked. When it's unlocked, the system does what we just talked about. It watches wheel motion, puts you in drive when it's supposed to, it takes you out of drive and puts you in duty when it's supposed to. Okay? If you lock it, it's going to keep you in whatever status you were in when it was locked. So if we're, like we show here, I'm in on driver, and I touch lock, yes, then it's going to be, no matter how much I drive around, I'm going to stay in on duty, not drive status. It's up to you to tell the system I'm going to not lock it anymore, and then we'll go back to watching normally. So you'd use locked status if you were going to run. We talked earlier about, I get to a customer, I've got to pick up a box somewhere. I've got to drive all around their yard trying to find. While we're on this, we'll also talk about the rest break. You can see the start rest break button there. Yeah, anybody here not used the start rest break before? Or you guys all used it? So yeah, you just touch start rest break, yes, it'll leave you in that. When the timer runs out, take yourself back out of it again. I had a guy at another company put himself on rest, came back 24 minutes later, took himself out of rest and took off and couldn't figure out why it didn't give him his time. It's because he only took 24 minutes off. And just like 9 hours and 40 minutes is not a 10-hour overnight, 24 minutes is not a 30-minute break. You gotta take 30 minutes. This system actually records to the second, displays to the minute, but even displaying to the minute is 15 times more accurate than a paper log. Okay, we talked about this status up in the upper left shows the name of the driver and what his status is. You guys should typically always have that in parentheses driver, so on driver, D driver. Driving time left, I've got a graphic for this later, but you'll see 3 different things for this when you're not in violation. So you'll see in green with a number until you get down to 3 hours of drive time left. You'll see in yellow with a number until you get down from 3 hours down to 1 hour. And when you get below 1, it goes red, and actually every 5 minutes it'll beep once to say, hey, you're running out of drive time, you're running out of drive time, you're running out of drive time. Something to think about is, who here has ever had it take away drive time at a stop? Okay. It actually doesn't take drive time away at a stop. What it can do, and what it will do, is it'll take away duty time at a stop, which, if you have less duty left than you have drive left, can effectively take away drive at the same time. So, and you guys have been using this long enough that this may not be new to you, but it's whenever somebody new is coming onto electronic logs brand new, we usually have at least one guy say, hey, my system's broken, it was taking away drive time at a stop. Well, it's not broken, it's doing what it's supposed to. We've got 14 hours of duty available during the day, and we've got 11 hours of drive. Okay, now what happens if I work 6 hours of duty? I've only got 8 hours of duty time left. I still have 11 hours of drive, right? No. I can't drive 11 hours after I've worked all that. I've only got 8 hours of drive left. Because even though I haven't driven anything yet, that 6 hours of duty time I did, keeps me from driving my full 11. If I were to take a 16-hour big day, it would actually open up 2 of those missing drive hours. But again, you'll have left the least amount of your daily duty, your daily drive, or your weekly duty. If it's Saturday, and I just finished working a 60-hour week, and I come in for work Saturday morning, I may not have any drive available because I've used up my 60 hours already. Fortunately for a class like this, we're not getting behind the wheel of a truck, so we can work as many hours as we want, we just can't drive after we use 60 hours. Questions on that? Okay. This just tells you, this is kind of like the last part of this, using this as a sales overview, but we'll work with property carrying, passenger carrying, we've got oil field rules, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys don't carry passengers today, but if you were able to branch out and start doing something like that, we could put systems in that would deal with that. We know you've taken that. All right, a couple of icons up in the upper right-hand corner. That little radar thing, that's going to be green or gray if there's nothing wrong, and it's sending or receiving when it's green, or it doesn't have anything to send or receive when it's gray. If it's gray with a little red X on it, it means it's trying to send or receive something, and it can't get a hold of the website, so you're probably out of cell coverage. Not a big deal unless you're logging in or logging out. Now, it's kind of nice to be aware of because I know you guys use messaging a fair amount. So if you're seeing that, the little gray with a red X on it that tells you you're out of cell coverage, be aware of the fact you won't be receiving messages there either. That kind of environmental thing where I'm not getting cell coverage, if you're at a customer that's got poor cell coverage, you're probably always going to have poor cell coverage. Make sure management knows there's bad cell coverage here so they know that if they want to talk to you, they have to use a phone, they have to wait, something else like that, because they can't reach your truck while you're in that area. The little cardboard box with the red X on it, that says we don't have any shipments listed. We're going to do everything right. Whenever we put a box on, we should log what that trailer is, and I'll show you how to log shipments. In addition, when we've got a trailer hooked, we should know what our trailer is. That's supposed to be on our log, and so in order to be compliant, you guys should have whatever trailer's hooked to your truck should be listed as part of your log. And we'll go over how to do that in a minute. All right. So all these other resources on the right tell us how to interact with the system and get information and do various different things. So, first thing, and actually in a lot of ways the most important, is I get pulled over by the side of the road, or I get stopped at a scale or something else, and then what's the first thing Mr. Nice State Trooper wants? Let me see your logs. Right? You guys are going to have the option, I don't know if you're going to choose to do it, but you'll have the ability, and actually maybe you already have, do you have the equipped with electronic log stickers on your doors yet?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So, no, yes, some do, some don't?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about those stickers. For many police officers, those work just like Obi-Wan Kenobi. These are not the logs you're looking for. They don't like them, they don't want to look at them. They don't understand them. Okay? And that's good, because like I said, people don't buy a system like this so they can cheat. Most law enforcement understand people don't buy a system like this so they can cheat. You really can't cheat this thing anyway. All right, you can break it, but now you better be on paper logs. All right, you just really can't cheat it. All right, it's going to be accurate. So, and if he's a jerk, he'll find something else to bug you about. But usually, and we'll get into what about not usually in a minute, but usually law enforcement sees electronic logs. They go, okay, I'm not going to find problems here. I'm either a nice guy and I'm going to let you go, or I'm a jerk. All right, well, I'll start digging on something else. Now let's take the guy that has, he's immune to the Jedi mind trick stuff, and I don't care that you've got an electronic log system. I want to look at your logs. Okay, great. Hop in my cab, because it's bolted in. I can't take it out. It won't work. You've got to get in your truck to look at it. All right. Now, I wouldn't recommend telling him you have to get in. What I would recommend saying is, officer, it only works when it's in the cradle. So would you like me to get out? Would you like me to slide over? How would you like to proceed? Whether we like law enforcement or not, whether we want to interact with law enforcement or not, right now he's the guy with the badge and the gun who can call other guys with badges and guns. I don't like getting in arguments with police officers. Okay? Smart thing to do. Officer, my logs are available on the display. How would you like to proceed? He says, all right, I'd like to get in, but I want you to show me how it works. That is not the time to start learning this. Because I know when I'm pulled over on the side of the road, I get nervous. I don't always think of everything right the first time. And I definitely don't want to be fiddling with something I don't really understand very well. You guys have got an advantage. You've been playing with the system some now. It's not, ooh, brand new, I don't get any of it. You've been giving me a bunch of, I think it's supposed to work this way, and here's what I'm seeing instead, which tells me you've been working with it. Good job. Okay? Keep doing what you're doing and learn it. And know how to show him your logs, because when he says, I want to see if you've got time left. Well, the first thing you can do is you can say, all right, this says how much drive time I have available right now. 4 hours and 15 minutes, or whatever the number might be. Okay, good deal. Very good chance that right now he's going to say, I'm done. He might want to say, let me see when you started today. He may want to ask some more information. Back to inspections. You ever pull guard duty? Yeah. So, and during guard duty, they'd ask you a bunch of questions to decide who didn't have. So, the guy that really had his act together got asked 1 or 2 questions and we moved on to somebody else. The guy that didn't have his act together asked a question, dig, 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 because I want to find out how much you don't know. Okay? Cops are gonna be like that. If you're confident, hey, here's how much time I've got. Oh, well, show me what time you started today. Okay, so I touch view logs, and it's gonna come up and pull up the graph for me. Well, here, you can see what time I started here, sir. Oh, all right. Again, good chance that, all right, you get your act together. I'm not gonna keep bugging you on this. All right? And if he wants to be a jerk, well, now we'll start looking at your inspection, or I'll go find mud somewhere it's not supposed to be. I mean, if he wants to be a jerk, he can be a jerk, but at least he won't be a jerk about your logs. Which frankly, that's what's likely to put you out of service anyway. Okay? So this has your log graph. For any day other than today, it's gonna have all 24 hours on it. And it's gonna have, along the right-hand side, you'll have all those times listed along here with a total of 24. Obviously, you know, today here it's coming on 11 o'clock and it only have close to 11 hours worth of stuff on it so far because the rest of Saturday hasn't happened yet. I can touch the previous log button, go to yesterday, touch it again, go to the day before, work my way back through. It's got my entire log rule week on it. So if he wants to see all that stuff, punch the previous log button. Oh, and by the way, remember, you've got that, you should have that, that cheat sheet in your cab that shows you all that. And if anybody gets in a truck that doesn't have that, let the office staff know so they can get you a copy of it. You guys are allowed to print out as many of those as you need in order to make sure you've got one in your truck. You have to have one in your truck that says, here's how to operate this. Part of the reason for that is because we just talked about what happens if the officer says, Paul, I want you to show me your log. Maybe the trooper's a 5'1" blonde female who's really intimidated because you're really tall, and she doesn't want to be in the cab of your truck with you. So she says, sir, please get out of the truck, go stand in front of the vehicle, I'm going to go work your log for myself. She has that right, she's allowed to do that. Okay? But, how do I work this thing? Well, you can't show her from in front of your truck very well. Hand her the cab card, and now she can get in the truck and punch the buttons for herself. Got to have that cab card. If she can't figure it out, one of two things is going to happen. One of three things is going to happen. So, most likely, if she can't figure it out, will be, all right, I'm lost and I don't want to act embarrassed, so you're fine. These aren't the logs you're looking for. All right. Maybe she'll say, hop up in here and show me how this concern thing works. Okay, you listened to this class, you paid attention, you fiddled with the system, you've got your stuff wired tight, get in and you show it to her. The other possibility, and I've only seen this once since 2003, I've been working with electronic logs for 11 years now. I put over 10,000 trucks on electronic logs. Yeah, I know, Bob, you're boring me with your resume. But here's the deal. 11 years of working with electronic logs, I had one Louisiana sheriff, his name was not Buford Key Justice, had one Louisiana sheriff say, I don't like electronic logs, this isn't legal, I'm putting you out of service.
What?
It happened. What? It was like 2006.
He was drunk?
No, he wasn't drunk. So what it was it was a cop that was a little too full of himself. Good job. Oh, that's all right.
30 minutes up all the way up, no?
Oh.
It was taken right
I mean,
there.
take it right time.
Yeah, he didn't take his break.
2011.
He and Luri,
Yeah,
he's
see,
driving.
see,
Luri
it's-
driving.
yeah,
That's
see.
right.
Here.
I never used that team as
See, it's 2011. He didn't have to take a break then.
Oh, see? Now, see? When you know the team.
But good catch. If he was supposed to, shame on him because he didn't. We'll put him out of service until he takes his 30
I think,
minutes
you know,
off.
it was all system for me,
Yep.
you know,
No,
I
good
never
job.
use it.
Yep.
I never
So-
use the team, never go to the school, now.
Yep.
I don't know the truth. Here
Yep.
myself, I'm just inside, I'm asleep, the truth was there. I don't know where
All right. Okay. That's what to do with cops. So, the other thing is all right, we've got our nice pretty log graph. What do we do with, how do we look at all of the other details? You just look at the events view and it'll go down, for the day you're looking at, it'll go down every single event. Obviously, you guys won't have the inspections showing on there because you're doing your inspections on paper. You can still add a note for your inspection if you feel it's appropriate. It'll just show up as a note instead of as DVIR.
So we're not supposed to